Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the virtual chapter. It is April 2025. It is so good to be alive. The spring has sprung. It is wonderful here in Florida. We are getting ready for the IACT IMDHA conference coming up just around the corner here. Gosh, we're like about 6 weeks away or something, I think.
Yeah, very close.
May 16th to the 18th. Everybody, if you hope you've got your catalogs. And if not, of course, you can check it out at the IACT.org or imdha.com websites and find out all the good, exciting news. It's going to be wonderful. I will be there. Karen will be there. Our
Absolutely.
Melanie McCool will be there. And I hope some of the rest of you will be there as well. We'd love to see it. It's going to be a great time and a lot of good learning to be had along the way as well. And as Karen always points out, don't mean to steal your thunder, Karen, but as Karen always points out, a lot of good learning to learn between the lectures, in the hallways, in the byways, at the continental breakfast, and over a cocktail in the evening. So please come if you can. It's going to be great. A couple announcements. You got anything happening in Chicago, Karen, that we should know about?
I don't know anything about Chicago right now because I'm in Isla Mujeres, Mexico, and I'm all about Mexico. There's a lot going on here, a storm and all sorts of other things. But I do want to say that when I was back, let's do a little regression for a moment. Back in Chicago a week or so ago, I had two new students graduate from their certification, hypnosis certification training. And
Uh-oh.
Oh.
Well, she's been censored. Well, I hope she comes back
one
quickly.
of them may actually join us in Orlando. She's trying to work her schedule out for that. Hello, hello, hello. Testing, testing. Am I back?
You're back. So we heard
Okay.
two students, and one of them may actually be in Orlando.
Yes. And coming up April 25th, I will start another certification training. And I have one seat left. If somebody's interested, we do the first 3 days in Chicago, the 25th, 26th, and 27th of April. And then we'll do 8 or 9 sessions on Zoom following that. So there's one seat left. If you want to do it or you know somebody who wants to be certified, have them get in touch with me because it's going fast. That's coming up in Chicago. Then, of course, IMDHA is after that in May.
Well, and IACT IMDHA is in fact May 16th through the 18th is the weekend. On May 19th and 20th, the 2 days after the weekend, I will just by way of personal announcements here, I will be doing the stress management consultant program. So if you're interested in being a certified CSM stress management consultant, but so some letters, there's an acronym there. I apologize. But anyway, that's going to be the 19th and the 20th, the 2 days following the conference weekend. Then on June 28th and 29th as well, the board certified hypnotist class is being run online. So if you're interested in becoming a board certified hypnotist through IACT IMDHA, you can do that at that time as well on those dates. And right around in the middle of that, Melanie, I'm just going to let you say it because I understand that June 21st and 22nd, of course, I know a number of us that are going to be there. You got something going on here in Florida.
Yeah, we've got the HypnoBiz Success Summit. It will be an online virtual event. I know we've got it full of incredible speakers that are going to bring their all, well, to help those who want to, give it their all in their hypnosis business. So we're about to get that invite out, and we're really excited. We're excited to have all of you on, as well as some people that we haven't actually gotten the opportunity to meet yet. And that seems to be a really good formula for us. We had an incredible conference last year where people just blew us away. So we're expecting the same.
Lovely,
Yeah.
lovely. Well, we sure are looking forward to the conference, especially and to that and to this one as well. And in fact, Karen and I and Patty Scott, I don't know if Patty
Yeah.
has made it. I know she
Yeah.
was coming here tonight, are going to be in that program that Melanie was talking about.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
that will be
Excited
way
for it.
cool. So, uh, we've got just our usual opening time here, and I was thinking, what would be a good lead in before we turn over to our primary guest speakers. And I had several ideas. By the way, I keep noticing, and if you watch me shifting around, there's my camera has a new software, and for some reason or another, it hasn't quite figured out how to focus yet. It's automatically out focusing me from time to time. So if I look a little blurry, it's just, it's just been one of those kind of days. But otherwise, I'll do my best to stay visible to all of y'all. So anyway, I was thinking about what would be good to sort of share about, and as you know, I mentioned I mean, that's obviously something that's of interest to me, but it's too close to Melanie's topic. So I really don't want to step into that territory just yet. But I was thinking about, we've talked about associations. I'm going to introduce Melanie more specifically a little later. But one thing I will mention about her is she's involved with the Hypnosis Education Association here in Florida, which was an organization that I used to be president of a couple of times, I think, and Patty Scott a couple of times. And when we started it out, it was this lovely little community group, you know, and then due to COVID and to just the changing nature of the world, it's developed into this more international online entity as well. And Melanie, I appreciate the fact that that you and Sean are doing the work that you're doing with it to keep it shining and and going on. It's lovely to have been a part of starting that so many years ago. And but it made me think about just the value of um, our communal experience in the hypnosis world. I really appreciate the opportunities that I have with folks here that are local to get together and to spend time together and to learn from each other. I really appreciate things like the conferences that we have to get together, to spend time together, to learn from each other, to support one another, all of those things. And gosh, I can remember, there was a time so long ago now, fortunately, when, being a hypnotist, especially if you come from a place like, well, look at the landscape behind me. When you come from territories like where I grew up, you're a hypnotist and you were the only one in the village. That's all that there was. And we were all separated and spread out, except people that lived in cities. There was an opportunity in some big cities to get together. And now uh, that whole thing has changed. The way that we connect to each other, the way that we interact with each other. Wonderful programs like like this one, for example, but so many other things, and the podcasts and support that's available online for people that are studying and learning. Now, of course, this is a blessing and a curse, isn't it? Because the other thing that I noticed about it was at the beginning, once everybody found their way to the internet, the interweb, like back in the days, once people found their way there, they would sign up for a hypnosis class, not knowing anything about hypnosis other than they had a conversation with you and they decided they were really interested in getting involved with this field. And between the time they had that conversation and by the time you had your first class session, they had found their way to Google, the, the great hypnotist Google, and had developed some really interesting and contradictory notions. And some of them were really good and some of them were really horrible. And sadly, new students without any sort of grounding support had no way to know one from another. As an NLP person, I am literally first generation of neurolinguistic programming. I come from the pioneer days of NLP when practitioner trainings were 27 days long. Now I find that you can get in seven, what was it? I saw it the other day, 7 days You can take a course that will get you 5 certificates as a as a hypnotherapist and as a neurolinguistic programmer and as a timeline therapist and and it's like, oh my God, it must be that they figured out how to streamline it. I'm desperately trying to make some sense out of that, and I have some real concerns about how it is that we maintain our standards because we have such a desire to sort of have every certificate that there is, right? That what we don't realize is that the currency is being, uh, well, devalued tremendously. So cheers to IACT. One thing that I will say is they have stood their ground about this, in that we don't certify people in hypnosis in 50 hours. And I know on the one hand that I think that that's at great cost to the association. That one of the things that happens is some people go, yeah, well, I'm going to go over here because, it's only going to be like 2 weekends and it'll only cost me a couple of $100. So why shouldn't I do that? And I would say, that's great, depending on what your standards are and what you intend to do with it. But if you take yourself seriously as a hypnotist, I just realized I'm getting preachy, and please forgive me for being preachy. But if you take yourself seriously as a hypnotist, I hope it's because you love the hell out of what it is that we do, and that you love the hell out of it enough that you're interested in investing some time and some energy. I don't care how many days of training you have with who. What I care is that you keep continuing to pursue it rather than looking for what's the closest route that will enable you to call yourself a hypnotist. Because if you just want to call yourself a hypnotist, you could just start that right now. There's no need to take any classes from anybody if you're looking for something to call. And you've got a printer. you know, I, you got a printer. If you need some certificates, you got that. But if you want the ones that you get to mean something, I hope what they mean is that you've indicated a real earnest interest in this field and you want to be able to use it to offer something of value to your students. And I'm like, I do know that I'm lecturing and I can't help myself today, I guess. Because it's something that really is of concern to me. I saw it happen with neurolinguistic programming. And I think that's why I stand before you as a witness to, the devaluation of standards. And now people are saying, well, I don't think NLP is any good because they debunked it. And I'm like, well, okay, first of all, who is they? What does debunked actually mean? And what is the it specifically to which you refer? And most of them don't know the answer to any of those questions. A few of them do. And the answer that they know is, and I'm going to tell you how NLP got debunked, we might as well. Early on in neurolinguistic programming, when there was all the talk about visual, auditory, and kinesthetic representational systems and eye movements and stuff, there was something, and to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know exactly what, but something that Bandler and Grinder suggested about representational systems that later, under some scientific scrutiny, proved not to be what they had concluded it to be. That nope, they were wrong about that. Bandler and Grinder will be the first ones to tell you that they didn't approach neurolinguistic programming scientifically. That what they really wanted to do was they wanted to look at behavior. They wanted to look at what people were doing and figure out ways to replicate it. And so, for instance, when John Grinder modeled Milton Erickson, so the beginning of the game here, the only way he was able to do hypnosis, and he did it very well, the only way that he was able to do hypnosis was by impersonating Milton Erickson. And so he had to develop a hump, and his voice couldn't be very clear as well, and he needed to be paralyzed on one side of his body. You know, literally, and I'm not exaggerating, literally, John did deep trance identification with Milton with all of his uh, limitations as well as the skill that he'd witnessed, until he could basically make the same classes of sounds, movements, gestures, and get the same results. This was the intention of modeling. Okay, so somebody later on said, oh yeah, they came up with the Milton Erickson technique, and look at the language patterns and look at, that's not what was actually happening. At some point later, people started studying folks like Virginia Satir, folks like Fritz Perls, et cetera, as you know. And they discerned certain patterns in some of the things that Virginia and Fritz Perls did in working with clients. So they described those patterns as examples of something to model. The next thing you know, the public perception was that NLP was a toolbox full of techniques. But the truth is that the techniques that became considered to be neurolinguistic programming weren't NLP, they were products of NLP. In the same way that a song is a product of the application of theories around music. So there are folks out here who got 6 or 7 tunes in their head, and they really have been led to believe and encouraged to believe by their teachers that they are skilled neurolinguistic programmers when they have no idea what NLP is actually about. The process of being able to look at a behavior and to figure out the inner structure of it so that you can reproduce it is what Bandler and Grinder were up to all along. Their intention was never to do therapy. It just happens that some of the first great communicators that they modeled were some of the most powerful therapists of the day. And it's who they had access to. And thank goodness, by the way, because hopefully we're doing some useful things therapeutically with NLP. But the point is, if you think NLP is a bunch of techniques, then you don't really yet understand what NLP is. Because NLP is the process by which those techniques were discerned and disseminated into the world. So, well, there you go. I am still lecturing.
Well, let me add one thing to that, Michael, if you don't mind. And that is, let's not any of us believe that just 220 hours, though impressive that it may be for the IAC certification, is all there is to it. That's the beginning of it.
Yeah.
We become good at this by doing this. We don't become good at this by reading about it, by learning about it, by hearing somebody or watching videos about it. We become good at this by doing this, because then you try this technique or you try that technique and it works 16 times, and then the 17th time it doesn't work. And you realize, oh, everybody's not alike. And on that 17th time, you have to pull some stuff out of thin air in order to work with the client who presented themselves to you. And you learn that by doing. And you learn that by continuing your education. One of the things Michael started with was associations. One of the great things about associations is you meet with like-minded people. One of the downsides to associations for one moment is if you join an association as if it's a cult and you don't learn from anybody else. It's not about that. IACT and INDHA have never been about that. Learn from everybody, bring everybody in that you can learn from, because there's more ways to attract or get to a solution than just one. So learn as many of them as you can. If you don't yet know NLP, go study some NLP. If you don't know EFT, go study some EFT. If you don't know how to do regression work, go study about it. If you don't like it, you don't ever in this lifetime have to use it. But know something about it, because you know what? I don't particularly like to spend a whole lot of time doing past life regressions. If somebody calls me and asks for a past life regression, I've got 15 people I can refer them to who likes to spend the time to do that. You guys know me. I'm the quick change, hit it and get it gal. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time doing some stuff, but I've got people I can refer to. But boy, did I study past life regression. Because if I've got a client who spontaneously regresses to a past life, I want to know what to do about it and what to do with it. That's why you continue your education. Find out what's out there. Learn how to bend a spoon with your mind. Learn it all if you can, and keep going to conferences, join associations, keep doing things like virtual chapter and join the Facebook groups, because that's how you become good at this. Keep doing it and you will become good at it. Sorry, Michael, I jumped up on your pulpit and took it over for a minute. Now I'll step down. And I'm glad the internet didn't break up during the sermon.
No problem.
Okay, can I jump in here too? Can I add to this?
Sure, go ahead, Alan.
Everything you have to say, absolutely right. And to what's also happened is that Wikipedia calls it pseudoscience, and Wikipedia's thing on NLP is just devastatingly wrong, and just awful. And I've had a client. Dad called up and said, no, my son looked it up and it's NLP and it's just terrible. It's pseudo and it's totally fake. Canceled. And the problem with Wikipedia, of course, is that whoever turns in the most points, whoever writes in the most information gets points. And the guy who did the NLP page hates NLP. So he has the most points, and none of us can put in enough new changing information and to change this awful story that they've got on this. So anybody who looks it up on Wikipedia.
Yeah. And Steve Andreas and a number of people have made serious attempts to try to get some changes made to that. That's exactly right.
Yeah, me too.
Anyway,
Wikipedia is just like hypnosis. It's all BS. Alan, you know what I'm talking about. It's belief system.
Yeah.
And if somebody reads Wikipedia and they believe it, some people will take a suggestion, some won't. Mm-hmm. So what? You let people to their beliefs. You deal with what presents. And that's how you get good at doing what we do, is understanding about what somebody else believes, meeting them where they are, and leading them to the promised land if they want to go.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. So now let me just pull this back together so we can, and then we're going to turn it over to Melanie in a minute here. So, oh, good, Melanie, you're going to be ready for this. So before we do, I just want to say, I want to go back to something Karen said earlier. When your students finish their classes, if you teach, by the way, or when you finish your classes as a student, you can look back and remember this. You walk out the door of your school, whether you or wherever you went, and the whole world. I thought it was all going to be different. I thought that there would be lines of people at my door, and my phone would be ringing off the hook. Right? You have literally placed yourself in a position, as anybody who's just graduated from college has done, or a trade school or whatever it is. You have now got your feet in the blocks. Congratulations, you've made it to the race, and now you get to begin from there and to find out where it's going to take you. And I hope that it takes you all kinds of wonderful and exciting places. But as Karen mentioned, at conferences, you'll meet all sorts of people, so interesting people, and it's nice. She said like-minded people. I will encourage you to meet some not like-minded people as well. I think that they've got some important stuff to teach us, and I want to wrap this up with one of my favorite stories. Anybody who's been in a class of mine, you have heard this story from me, so you can hear it again, because it'll be even more important this time in this context. But there's a wise old man who says, "For thousands and thousands of years, I have been searching for God." Said, and every once in a while, I thought I saw him on the beach and I ran to catch up with him. But by the time I got there, he was gone. And I continued searching for God. I've been on pilgrimages and journeys for thousands and thousands of years. And one day while wandering along the beach, I came upon a house, and there was a sign in front of the house that said, "This is the house where God lives." And I took off and I began up the stairway. I thought, at last I found the house where God lives. I began up the stairway so that I could knock on the door, thinking that God would open the door. And I suddenly realized, what then? If I get to the top of the stairs and I knock on the door and God opens the door, what then? All of my journeys, all of my pilgrimages, all will be finished. He said, so I took my shoes off of my feet. and I crept down the stairway as quietly as I possibly could in case God should hear me and open the door, because what then? And when I got to the bottom of the stairs, I began running. And I ran for thousands of years. And now, he said, I am still looking for God. And I know I only need to avoid that one house. To me, this is the beginning of wisdom. Is as soon as you think you have found the answer, my friends, you've lost something very, very important. So if you get too close, run like hell and find out something new. So there's my lesson for the day. And look at the timing. It's just right. It is just time. I'm going to introduce you now to our special guest, Melanie McCool. And I've got to tell you, I've already told you a little bit about her. That is, I've told you that she plays a very important role in the Evolving Hypnosis Education Association here. She's going to tell you, I'm sure, a little bit about the programs that she's running. Also, the business conference that we're doing, that I mentioned that we'd be at as well. And I want to read you her official, just because everybody's got one. Melanie, where did you go? There you are. Oh, I was on the right page. Melanie is known as the entrepreneur's hypnotherapist. By the way, this is the reason, Melanie, that we have got you here now. Um, she is an IX certified master trainer of hypnosis with over 20 years of entrepreneurial experience. She utilizes neuroscience, money mindset, sales, confidence training, hypnosis, and NLP to eliminate subconscious blocks, ending cycles of procrastination and self-sabotage cycles in her thriving hypnosis practice. So I did tell you I was going to have a couple of questions, so you don't have to answer them right away, but I'm going to ask them right away.
Excellent.
So that wherever they want to come up, there are a couple of things that I'm particularly interested in. We're living in an age inspired by the likes of, and I don't mean this disparagingly, by the way, so please nobody misunderstand me, but inspired by the likes of Tony Robbins and this entrepreneurial spirit, this go, 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 go thing. And somehow or another, it gets to be interesting to me to consider how it is that a hypnotherapist, as an entrepreneur, can go, 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 and go, and somehow or another manage to either balance that with a regular human life and have something else happening besides just their all-consuming business, right?
Mhm.
And at the same time, every once in a while, some of us in our go, 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 going find ourselves in situations where our own lives, for whatever reason, in this particular moment or this particular era or period or whatever it is, are in the crapper, and and our job is to continue to be a source of education, inspiration, and stuff to other people. So those are the things that I'm thinking about. I just wanted to hand that out to you generally. You certainly don't need to start there, but
Yeah, and I love that you brought up the Tony Robbins thing. I actually have some specifics on that and my experience. But I really would thank you for hosting this conversation. It's something that I'm incredibly passionate about, and for personal reasons. But anybody who's here who's ever felt the tension between wanting to give your business everything you've got, because we love hypnotherapy and what we get to do to help people, right? And wanting to have a life outside of work, right? I work with a lot of high achieving hypnotists and entrepreneurs. And one of the fears that I often see well, I want to give it my all, but what if I have to sacrifice my health my physical health, my mental health, my relationships. It's literally a fear of burning out, or they've already done it, and I've got to pull them back into an idea that they can have it all, a prosperous life. So we're going to talk today about how you can give it your all without giving it literally from your own energetic well of all, because it's a bit, exhausting. And how you can have that balance in life, and a real balance, because we all know sometimes you do have to carry like 4 plates in this hand and still got to see those clients. It happens, right? There's always this give and take. So I hope today that what I share with you will help you by the time we wrap up. Here, I've got about an hour, right? So how we go.
Yep.
That I will be able to help you to understand what burnout actually is, because I think it's an overused term, and the hidden causes of burnout in our kind of business. So this purpose-driven business. And we're going to explore how we can redefine success. So probably not this Tony Robbins idea of go, go, go success, but success that actually looks like a prosperous life. That's health, relationships, joy. I'm going to give you some practical, ideas of how to buffer your own energy with structure, boundaries, getting support, right? And I hope I'll leave you with a sustainable framework for business growth. And as I said, I'm incredibly passionate about this as the entrepreneur's hypnotherapist. I became a hypnotherapist because I had extreme burnout myself. So burnout is actually a mental syndrome defined by the World Health Organization. Okay, so understand when I say burnout, I'm not talking about what everybody says, I'm so burnt out from my kids or this or that. Here's the thing. So the World Health Organization defines it as a mental syndrome that is defined by exhaustion that you can't get rest from, or these are the symptoms, right? Exhaustion you can't get rest from. There's a kind of cynicism that develops, or a negativity that develops around your business. And third is lack of productivity. So it's a mental syndrome from unmitigated workplace stress. Okay, so that's what they say. It's from workplace stress that's not handled, and it looks like $1 trillion a year problem for businesses. When you're an entrepreneur, it's your business. Like that, there's nobody to save your ass. Excuse my language. There's nobody to save you. And I didn't know before I was a therapist the major problem that could be. I probably burnt out about 4 times really over, because it's now been almost 25 years that I've been in business. As I can remember those times where I kind of burnt my business to the ground in one way or another. I just literally like had those just chop this thing up. It's killing me. I hate it. I can't stand what I do. And I'd reinvent, and after I breathed and came back. But this one, it resulted in the worst. So even though the World Health Organization calls it a mental syndrome, we do know that most doctors' visits are from stress-related issues, unmitigated stress again. So I ended up ill, like completely ill. As they call it, adrenal fatigue. And I mean, I was sick. I actually had a flare-up of an autoimmune condition and everything. The worst part though, and I am so passionate about this, and I educate people on burnout all the time. I had no idea this could happen to me. My brain changed. The brain changes under extreme stress. Under prolonged extreme stress, your brain changes. I didn't have a creative brain cell left in my head. I couldn't see past the now and the now and the now. I was so anxious. I wasn't sleeping. I had heart palpitations. I was awful. And I couldn't see. And one of the most important things for an entrepreneur, you as an entrepreneur, is the ability to see a future. that you can actually work towards and create. You are a creative being, right? So there's a spiritual gifting, I believe, of an entrepreneur, and that is to believe wholeheartedly in the unseen and then to go for that with all of your heart and soul, right? Well, I'd lost it. My brain had changed. I was literally unable to work, and it was the scariest thing. That was the scariest thing. I mean, I pushed through the health things before I'd done, but this was, I couldn't think and I couldn't support my kids. And so I'm Googling and I found out that thankfully that one of the ways to help with the symptoms I was experiencing, the anxiety, heart palpitations, well, anxiety and the insomnia and the stress, obviously I now knew this was from stress, was the hypnotherapy. I was like, okay, help me come back online, basically. And I remember my brain coming back online the day that I realized that I had another creative thought. I could see a money-making idea that I could actually support my family. I could see it again. And with that came such an impact for me on what we do to help people. I was just like, I've been working with entrepreneurs for 20 something years, well, almost 20 years at that point. And I was like, oh my gosh, so many of my peers push themselves till they're almost dead. You know, they think you sleep when you're dead. There's all this just hustle grind bull crap that's pushed down the entrepreneur's throat. It's the Tony Robbins way, right? Go, 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 go. And I was like, it's killing them. And has nothing to do with peak performance. I mean, peak performance says that your mind, your body, everything's on board and you've got the mental capacity for genius. That's really what peak performance is. If you're not sleeping, if you're working, your fingers to the bone, you're not enjoying yourself, you're missing out on the most important things to keep your entrepreneurial brain healthy. Two things that we screw up really bad with our kids from the time they're, I don't know, just depends. I actually have a client right now, started working when he was like 8 years old, never played sports, never did anything, okay? So that's the extreme of it, right? But not enough play and never enough daydreaming. So I think this is like what top on my list for entrepreneurs is play more and let yourself dream. Let the daydream time happen. Stare out at that lake or at the ocean or where you can, and let your brain reset to its natural being. So with that, we're just going to take a moment before I go into some more of this, and we're going to give our brains a little dose of just in the most simple way, because this is what we all need. No matter how busy you've been today, all of our brains need this. And so this is how I start when I'm doing this for the general public. Hey, listen, we're all in this. We're all in business today. So with that, I'm just going to take a moment and I'm going to share with you something that you may have already experienced many times, but I attribute this to a great deal of my healing. This is the first thing that I do with my clients who are in burnout, and it's something that I do all the time now. And it's the first thing is to neutralize the biochemistry of stress, and we're just going to do a quick heart coherence meditation. Okay, so just a quick one, and knowing that your brain is literally a pharmacy, we're going to tell your brain what kind of biochemistry to create right now. We're going to create the biochemistry of the happy dose, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. So that can neutralize any stress that's been in you. Even stress from just hearing me talk about my passion or listen to other people lecture about things, right? Any stress, let's neutralize it. So let's take a moment together. And it's real simple. Just sit. You can put your hands on your heart. There's a reason why people will pray with their hands right here is to bring that attention to your beautiful heart. And you're just going to take some long, slow, deep breaths. And you can imagine As you take those long, slow, deep breaths, you can stretch your lower ribs as you do it, and imagine you're breathing in and out through your heart space. And yes, I know you've got lungs around that beautiful heart. Just imagine now that your heart is the one that's breathing. We're going to take 4 slow, deep breaths in and out through your heart. Breathing in slowly, stretching those lower ribs, and exhaling slowly. At your own pace, just taking those lovely, deep, slow breaths, the eyes closed. Bring all your attention to that beautiful heart. And now, imagining or bringing to mind whatever is right for you that feels like love, joy, gratitude, care, appreciation. Just bringing to mind something that makes you feel good. As you breathe in, breathe out, and just imagine you're putting that like a Polaroid picture right in your heart. So what makes you feel good now? Right there in the center of your beautiful heart. So good. And as you do, you may feel that wonderful drifty, floaty feeling developing in your body as your pharmacist brain creates those wonderful neurochemistry of love. And that love, it bathes every cell of your body. The love that is you now flowing all through your body. Just going through and neutralizing all the stress that you might have had. That's right. Just breathe in. Breathe out, feeling good. Awesome. And you can know that that will stay with you for hours. And that right now, your beautiful heart is actually emitting so much more electromagnetism and photons of light. You are literally beaming love. So you can feel that inside. And when you're ready, come back to space. And that's the first thing that I do with my clients. And I have a 5-step method to help people to bounce back from burnout fast. They say with traditional methods, it takes like 16 weeks, and that's with sabbatical. For people to come back from full on, where your brain's literally like, and you're unable to work. Like that's the far extreme. But I found we can do it within 6, and that's without a sabbatical. Because we do that. First, we teach them how to neutralize biochemistry of stress. 2, we then work with the number 1 source of 24/7 stress that's between our own ears. It's your thoughts. So we're going to work a little bit with your thoughts for the rest of today. Okay. And so because we know that there's a sense that with this kind of business, there's a lot of people who do this part-time and not full-time. So that was one of the things that Michael wanted to touch on here, is that like going all in, but not losing yourself, right? And what I find is that us heart-centered, like or driven folks. So like we've got this unique combination here. We're heart-centered, impact-driven, and yet if you're also a high achiever, right, you're at most at risk for burnout. And that would have defined me. I also said that when I work with my clients, sometimes I have to teach them how to not be afraid they're going to kill themselves again when they go to work. Well, that was me. So when I went from, I couldn't work my old business, I became a hypnotherapist. I had to come up with my rules for life and I had to remind myself that I would never burn out again for the rest of my life. I would protect myself. I would protect my heart. I protect my well-being. And so the rules, what I'm about to outline for you, they're for you so that you can do it without worrying about burnout yourself. But these are like my rules for life. Like, this is non-negotiable. It's like my best friend will hop in, my higher self, I call my own best friend, will hop in and tell me, listen, follow the rules because you never want to go down that road again. But the most prevalent thing that I find for myself and for others is that there's this kind of myth, if I'm not doing it all, I'm not doing enough. And I think that's what I had the epiphany about 3 years ago. I had a client who came to me because she was so stressed that she kept the IVF that she kept doing, she knew was just like, it wasn't taking because of her level of stress. Pretty big, important thing in her life. Turns out she was taking all of these Tony Robbins things. And I realized that they had her in this kind of hamster wheel. Like, she kept going for it and kept going at it. And without making her wrong for having invested her time and energy and all of that into all of that. Because I'll tell you what, I'm actually kind of a crazy overachiever. I registered for one of his events once, and they said, well, before you come, you can rent any of his programs, and all you have to do is pay for shipping. So they send me the program, I take it and send it back. I completed all of them. They're like, nobody's ever done that before. So I did all of his programs. So I'm that overachiever too, right? I didn't go to the event, but I felt like I got something out of it. I did, without making her feel bad, I also had to kind of deprogram her. I had to unhypnotize her from the running, and the doing it all, and really help her to take on what I know is true, which is that with that daydreaming and with that play and with our actually enjoying our life, we can achieve more without losing ourselves. And in this case, she ended up having a baby. So, whoa. Whoa. But first I want to ask, so before we move any further, if you want to think about, just to make this personal for you, what part of your life gets put on the back burner when you're all in on business? And you can just hit me in the chat, or you can just pop out and tell me what part of your life gets put on the back burner when you're all in on business. What are you afraid that you'll give up or you'll sacrifice? And people will typically say, well, my time. If I'm really successful, I'll have to give all my time. Or my health, because you may have seen somebody in your life sacrifice their health for success, right? Or your relationships, fun, right? This idea that we have to, walks and exercise, right? Simple things that actually keep us well, the time to be creative and presence with my partner and family, right? And what if the truth was that those walks and exercise and the time that you're creative and that love that you share with your partner and family is actually what drives your success? And that's part of what I hope to get across with you today. That without it, you're actually impeding your business, and you're losing what you really love. That is the truth. And I've watched this with my clients over and over again, taking those things, reclaiming that and creating those rules for life is really the difference maker. So I also want to have us consider that, you've heard it said, but like if you've got wealth but you don't have your health, what the heck do you have? You have nothing, right? Or what good is the money if your family's, been neglected and you don't have them? Like, oh, you could see that outcome would be terrifically terrible, right? So I think, especially as a hypnotherapist, we need to redefine success. And it's not just about income or client count, right? It's not. It's about, number one, is that fulfillment, right? The fulfillment from doing this work. And that's why we do go all in. And I'm going to talk about how you can go all in without it taking all your time. But we do go all in because of the fulfillment that we get in working with people in this magical way that we have. And success, if time isn't the most valuable thing that you get, I don't know what is, your relationships and health. So considering success and your version of success as like the whole wheel of life, like those wheel of life, the things that you take, and you look at all the different areas of your life, your health, your relationships, your finances, your community, your spirituality, the wheel of life, right? If you define success by this whole wheel, you might also actually realize you got some flat tires, but that's okay. We can work with that. I say we've mostly all got a flat tire, but with hypnosis, with the therapy, we can actually help all those wheels be full, and you have no idea where you're going to go with all full wheels, right? But the key is this is aligned success. This is prosperity, and it is possible. We may not know many of them, but if you know anybody who is healthy, wealthy, happy, has great relationships, is amazing in the community, is generally a good person, right? If you know anybody like that, even one, then it's possible for you. And they were either born really darn lucky, because most of us just don't get a full tire from our families, right? Or they did the work. So I encourage you, keep doing the work. And what we're talking about here is part of doing the work. This is the practicals of doing the work for yourself. So I've got a burnout-free business framework. And I will also say, I actually have a zero burnout business growth workshop that I have. That's for the client size. Okay. So for clients who come, whether they're entrepreneurs or even corporate, whatever it is, I've got zero burnout protocol for them. It's not what I'm talking about here today. Today, we're talking about the burnout-free business framework for hypnotists. So it's about taking 4 real shifts. And the shift number 1, I want to call it structure over hustle. Okay, so putting those things in place that give you the structures so that you aren't having to work your tail off. These are things that they might not be so obvious to you. Maybe they are, depending on your background, but having been in online business and digital marketing for now almost 25 years, some of these structures, these systems and structure came to me, over time. And so when I became a hypnotherapist, I put them in place immediately, so that I didn't burn out. It was like super important. And I was able to build a 6-figure and a multiple 6-figure practice without burning out, and within just a couple of years. So these to me, they're non-negotiable. And when I work with people who want to, build a sustainable practice, have the impact that is, see all the clients they want, and not work themselves to death, these are what we do. So I want to just encourage you to consider that having systems in place are really how you have a sustainable business. That's how you can protect your own energy, and how you can know that you can have a kind of a relaxed feeling, knowing that your business is working while you're not working, which is super important. Like literally your business systems work while you're not working, like 24/7. So I think about what you can automate, simplify, or delegate. And delegate, that comes, it comes down the line when you're ready. So I may not touch on that so much today, but it's huge. It really is. It's a big part of how the business can grow without feeling like, it has to be just you out there doing the all. So we'll just talk about automate and simplify. Because there are some key things that we put in place that are, to me, without them, they cause a whole lot of running around doing admin that are unnecessary. And if you started your business 20 years ago, it might have been real necessary. Not at all today. So automation, meaning things like when we think about our hypnosis business, virtually everyone has a website. But if we did take it even one step back, there are people who start their hypnosis business and are not very successful, but can be successful. Just having a calendar, literally having their calendar link as how they get people to communicate with, to tell them, to find out if they'd be a great client. But if you think about your website, number one, it's got to have a calendar. Like a sticky website has a calendar for somebody to book in, and that calendar then is going to automate the reminders in email and text, and it's going to get those people to the call. Now, I'm saying this, and I know it sounds obvious, and probably most of you are on this call like, of course, but it's not so obvious to many hypnotists. I mean, I started doing what we're doing because I would go back to, I've stopped counting. I think I have 10 certifications now, Michael. So so what you were talking about, I keep going back. And I would go back like, a couple years later to audit a course, and the same people would be there. And they didn't give it their all. They can't have given it their all because I asked them how they're doing and they're not seeing clients. And I ask them about their website and I look at it and it doesn't have there's no calendar. So I'm like, it might seem obvious, but it's not. And this is part of giving your all. Like, do the things that are the foundational. I think of it as phase one. Phase one is have a website where people can book in and get those calls going. And obviously it saves time. You're not chasing down people. And then we think about automating calls, but we can also think about automating client onboarding, right? So meaning when somebody comes on board, what do we got to do? Typically, you're going to take payment. You're going to send them a form, right, that they've got to fill out online. What if that could be automated? Guess what? It can. It doesn't have to be, I remember before this was in place for our systems, that when I got off the phone, I would always leave my notebook in a certain way. So I would remember that I hadn't done the 5 other things that I had to do to actually secure that client. And one of them was send them the form to fill out, right? And make sure it was filed properly, all that stuff. But you can actually automate that. You can simplify that process for you and go even another step with that, which I have found to be so helpful. I'll just give it to you the example in for my smokers. So you know how it works. Some smoker comes in, you got the pre-talk, you got the whole thing, right? The whole structure of the session. Well, a few years ago, I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to save myself 45 minutes on every session. And so I created a video. Yes, I did. I did a video of the pre-talk. And when I book a smoking appointment on my calendars, the pre-talk goes out along with the intake forms. And they come in and they have already heard my pre-talk. And then we get to the stuff that's actually for them, about them. That saved me not just it's not just the time, it's the energy. It's a little draining to do that talk over and over again about, well, whatever yours is about, but mine is about. So that saved me so much energy. And there's when I'm telling you about it, I'm like, please think about this. How can you do this? How could you prepare your anxiety clients before they even come in so that it simplifies they're getting the experience and you know that they've got a few steps ahead before they come see you. Client onboarding, and then, well, things like reviews and stuff like that. At the end of the day, more Google reviews you get, the more people you have coming in. So that, I think of the structure of a hustle, and I'll step back into that, because just some of the tools, the things that I've done or used over time that I think are, again, non-negotiable, like SEO, search engine optimization of my website. Google sends clients. It just does. It's been wonderful. I love it. But that's because I've got the SEO set up properly and I've got a sticky website. So when people stop there, they end up booking calls. So what's my job is to talk to those people, lots of them, and let them know that if I feel they're a fit, that they're a great fit. This is my job. I get to do it all the time. I'm not out there hustling for those calls. Google's doing it. Like, wow. Like, it's a gift, actually. It's just a plain gift. Again, I probably wouldn't have known this, but I've been doing SEO work since, like, with other businesses before I was a hypnotherapist. So it was something I knew to do. It might not be so obvious to you, but hopefully after today you go, oh, wow. You mean if I've got it set up properly, are people looking for hypnosis near you? Yes, they are. They definitely are. And if you've got it set up properly, you'll get to see them. Other things to get in place that you could. So phase one in your business, I think, is that your sticky website and your calendar. Phase two is more like the marketing funnels stuff. And that's having things like your free group talk or your group hypnosis session, and those funnels working for you. Those are the kinds of things. When I think of structure over hustle, they work for you 24/7. And again, you've got the automations on the back end, sending the emails and all that stuff. You don't have to think about it. So that's shift number one, structure over hustle. Everybody still with me? Let's give me a thumbs up or something. All right, awesome. And if I start talking over myself, breathe. Awesome. So two, support is strategic. Now, as a previous DIYer, somebody who didn't ask for support, did everything herself, like worked myself to just about to death, I recognize that sometimes this is hard for some people to actually ask for help when it's needed. But you are not meant to do this alone. And Michael talked about associations and being in like-minded circles, super important. But you really aren't meant to do this alone. And we have the ability now to connect with people on, in this manner. You don't have to go and spend, did you say 27 days? Something like that. Like, wow. I think I did an 11-day training. I thought that was big and long. Like, I did one in person. But you don't have to do that. But you're not meant to do this alone. And I'm just going to pause right here and say, I feel like every hypnotist needs a hypnotist. Okay. I actually just said this to a wonderful teen client. She was like, I'll be back, but I'm hoping I can, or I'm hoping it won't be real soon, that I can use what you've taught me and the resources that I've gained, And I was like, that's exactly what I hope for you. I said, but I have a hypnotist. And when I'm coming apart at the seams, I call my hypnotist. So just know that we're not meant to do this alone. And this is a young overachiever, like literally in front of me. I'm like, know this, like, um, teaching her burnout prevention strategy is at 17 is wild. You're not meant to do this alone. We've got peers. We've got your peers, tech tools, and communities, right? So with your peers, first of all, I would encourage you to connect with people who are making it happen, okay? But in balanced ways. This is not the easiest thing to do. Because if you're in a typical business mastermind, it's the go, 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 push, 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 hustle, right? And I have found myself dropping out of those so fast because they just throw my nervous system into a tizzy, and I know they're wrong. Like, you just told the story of how you made, I don't know, $22 million and then ended up almost jumping off a bridge. You think that's healthy? Like, there's some balance missing in there, right? So the go, go, go. So who you are associating with makes a difference. I would encourage you to find peers who are full-time in their practice, who have done the work to make this their life, right? And that way you can actually ask, well, what did you do? What's worked for you? And you can find the ways that are right for you to make it work. I actually, it's tech team, right? If you're not real techie, then support in tech is available. You don't have to you don't have to be the tech wizard. You have to know enough to be able to tell somebody else what you want to happen. You don't have to be the tech wizard all out, right? So there's tech tools, tech teams that you can lean into, so that you're not, having to. No hypnotist wants to be stuck in coding or some nonsense, like ever. You didn't get certified so that you would get stuck in tech, right? And the last thing I have here is communities. So the communities that we surround ourselves with, not just the hypnotists who are certified, not just the people who are passionate about what we do. And I love them too. Totally. One of my favorite things to do is to actually be in a hypnosis certification because I love hypnotists. But communities of people who are actually doing the work, who have made this their livelihood, right? So I'm going to ask, before we move to shift number 3, where are you holding everything on your own? So if you've got a feeling in you anywhere that you're not feeling supported, I'm going to suggest it's because you're not asking for the support. So ask yourself, where am I holding on to everything on my own? Where have I just said, this is all on me and it's hard? Because wherever that is keeping you from the fulfillment of the clients that are looking for you. They need you desperately. So you're being that DIY person is keeping you from those clients, or keeping them from finding you. Because without the support, without the systems in place, and perhaps the support to get those systems in place, you're literally inhibiting somebody else's healing. Sounds terrible, but it's true. Get out of your own way so that you can show up for them, right? That's what I say. All right, so shift number 3, boundaries build freedom. One of the most important things that I told myself when I started this business was that I would put, and I envisioned it as a red velvet rope. A red velvet rope around myself, around my time and my energy. And what that meant, what that still means, is setting my office hours so that I'm taking care of myself first. I'm no good if I don't eat well, go to the forest, go have fun and dance and all those things. So setting my office hours and not going outside of them. The one major boundary that I have is how my clients and I communicate, where we communicate. the channels with which we communicate. Because I kind of had some, I know it sounds extreme, but I had some real I'll just say, I'll call it aversion to being successful again, because of the old belief that I had that people had access to me. You know, the more successful I am, the more access I have to give other people. No, that's not true. If you make it true, it will be true. But instead, I only communicate with clients and potential clients via email, SMS. And if they do message me from my Facebook page or my Instagram, it comes right into the same channels. So I log into my business dashboard to communicate with people. I don't, entertain, and if somebody DMs me on another platform, like just on my Facebook profile, personal, I'll say, awesome, here's my calendar. And that's basically as far as that goes. There's none of this. I don't communicate in the DMs for my hypnotherapy clients. That's one of the boundaries I've created. And I absolutely unplug. Like this tonight is actually really late for me, but I did it because I love I act. It's super late for me. My husband's like, all right, Sean's like, you're gonna be like yawning and sleep. I'm like, I'll be all right because I'm talking. Super late. But I unplug. And I have a phrase that it's say no, it's not just mine, I did not make this up, but say no to most things so you can say yes to the right things. And I live by that. So I say no to most things. And that way I can say yes just to the right things. And what this allows me to do is to have more presence with my clients, to be more attentive to them. Now it sounds weird. You just put up boundaries. You only communicate with them this time. Yes. And that way in the hour or 90 minutes, whatever I'm with them for, they're 100%. They've got all, like I come with all my tools and all my energy and all my time because I did sleep well, eat well, went to the forest or did whatever I wanted to do, right? Whatever the heck I wanted to do. And I ate in the sun, whatever that was. That allows us to show up for our clients better, which results in a better client experience, which results in more reviews and more clients and more referrals. So again, this idea that if you're you're not giving your all the time is somehow going to be a detriment to your business. It's actually the opposite. If you're spread this thin and you're showing up thin for your clients, they're losing. So I would highly suggest, now I'm preaching, but be there for them. Be there. What's best for you is best for everyone. So you're maintaining your mental, physical, and spiritual health, your happiness, you're laughing your buns off as much as you can, right? You're doing that is actually best for them too. All right. And it also means, like, let me just say, you got your all going in over here, right? So I think of it as kind of like all irons in the fire. You got SEO, you got search engine optimization and social media working for you, all irons in the fire on an automated basis. Not even there. Thank you. All iron in the fire means that I can be completely present with the people that I love because my business is working for me while I'm not there. I have this really crazy rule, and it's the more fun I have, the more money I make. Call me nuts, but I prove it all the time. Meaning, if I go away to have fun, more calls get booked on my calendar. It's what I call it. I call it my rule for life, and life listens to me. So say, go have more fun after you put the systems in place, because you can't just go have fun. It doesn't work like that. Okay, cool. So shift 4, and then we got just a couple minutes for questions. Yeah, that's the way it works. Shift 4 is stay connected to your why. So we got 3 minutes. I'm gonna help you to connect to your why. The daily reconnection, even just 2-3 minutes, helps prevent what we, that resentment, that cynicism towards your work, that feeling, that phase 2 of burnout, connecting to your why. So we're going to take another deep breath into that heart. And just taking yourself back to that place where you can feel really good. Only this time, when you think about the thing, I want you to think about all of the souls that are so grateful that you showed up when they needed you. Just think about all the people who are so grateful that they said yes, that they're feeling so much better than they were. And they might not even remember you, but they're just walking through life feeling so much better because you showed up, because you gave it your all, because you got through whatever mental barriers were there that you thought would keep you from working your business and giving it your all. Just reconnecting to those people and whatever problems you solve, and really feeling their increase in joy and happiness and peace. That's right. Awesome. It's reconnecting to what drew you to this work in the first place. Awesome. And I always say, if you're not doing the things to go all in, it's probably because you're focused on you. But if you keep focusing on them, you wake up compelled to do the things. But you can be compelled to do the things that are smart, that'll help you to put the structures in place, to ask for the support, to move forward in a way that you would never sacrifice anything at all. You'd only do this with, full heart, knowing that you can have it all. Prosperity is the goal, that full tire. Yeah. There we go.
Thank you. I don't know if it's I guess it's a question. Um, you were talking about support, from you mentioned your peers and stuff.
Yeah.
I tell you, I started doing hypnosis in Chicago. I moved from Chicago to Houston to Denver to San Francisco and to here. And each of those moves, I started over.
Yeah.
I
Wow.
literally, started over. And I think in the long run, this one probably this last move, which is now some 20, almost 30 years ago actually, but this one was the most stressful in the long run
Mm.
because when I came here, I concentrated on teaching NLP to hypnotherapists and teaching hypnosis to neurolinguistic programmers that hadn't learned to do hypnosis. I found a great niche. I was right in the right place to do that.
Yeah.
But the result of that is everybody that I met was somebody that I met through the work that I was doing, through the business that I was doing, and they were students and or clients of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up not having something that I'd had all of my younger life, not having any kind of a support system outside of the world of hypnosis.
Mm-hmm.
I knew everybody that was doing hypnosis, and it's great if you need advice about hypnosis and about running your practice. But I think something that has been really important to me, I'm 43 years into a relationship with somebody who has nothing to do with hypnosis.
Right.
Karen, my good friend Karen here has a husband who is really supportive. He's there. He does video things and stuff for her, but he's not a hypnotist. Somehow or another, I think there's the best source of support can be somebody that has nothing to do with it and that
Totally.
actually just cares about you.
Yes. Oh, I so agree. And when, yeah, and I'll just share my experience is very similar. Like I used to feel, when I say if you're not feeling supported, it's probably because you're not getting support or asking support. That feeling of not being supported was something that I carried right up until this marriage. Like I literally just like walked around with not feeling supported. And
Yeah.
then I can totally relate. Like best sort of support is not necessarily anything to do with hypnosis, but yes, having that support is such a blessing.
Yeah.
And it could be your best girlfriends. It could be whatever, but having those relationships, that's part of the relationships piece, right? It's not just we don't just associate with each other. We got all kinds of peeps. Yeah, awesome.
Nice. Another thing, I don't know what goes on other people's short lists or the back burner lists or the what takes a back seat. I think was that the phrase that you used earlier?
Yeah, what goes in the back burner when you're all in, when you're focused on your business. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I noticed I didn't even want to put it in the list because I didn't feel like it was quite worthy. But I started out at the beginning saying this to Alan before we got underway. I said, "Thank you for letting me know about that great movie." You know, those things are just to me the chance to step aside and to
Yeah.
completely be engaged in in something that has artistic creativity,
Right.
whether it's film or music or
Mhm.
or something like that. I think is one of the things that we go, oh, that's the sort of thing that you do if you got spare time. But we're so busy these days. Who?
No, it's required. Like this is when I part part of the 5-step formula is to have people identify the things that they are missing. And it's typically something like music or art or even like I use the joke like or baking muffins. But if you really love to bake muffins and you haven't baked muffins in 5 years because you feel like you just got to work yourself and you'll bake muffins later, bake some muffins today. Like bake
As a
muffins.
matter of fact, join a cooking class.
Yes.
Get some friends in that hobby too.
Yes,
Yes,
exactly. And make different muffins.
right.
Yeah, totally.
Be
Agreed.
well rounded. Yes.
Yeah. Yep. 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 Another thing that this guy, I have a piano in my house now. What? Like those kind of things. It's huge. It's a big piano and a karaoke setup. Totally microphones and everything.
Nice.
So when it's been a long day, it's like let's just raise that vibration. Let's change that to everything and get to
Yeah,
singing out. Yeah, that
yeah.
kind of stuff.
Let's
Saves
take
my
some
life.
time for this experience called satisfaction or enjoyment or
Yeah.
you know yeah.
And to trust that you can do that, knowing that, you know, I'm sure there's scripture somewhere, Michael, that says something like the sparrow doesn't stay up all night. That's not how it goes. But basically, get sleep. You're not helping your brain if you're not sleeping. Don't work late.
Yeah.
Sleep and know that you'll be fed. Like you will be fed as long as you put the systems in place. You work smart. Yeah.
I have a new religion and it's taken pieces from all of the religious experiences I've ever had and put them together. And I've come to the conclusion that at the end of this life, when you die, you go to the pearly gates and St. Peter asks you if you had a good time. And
Yes.
if you say no, they
Oh,
make you come back and do it again.
oh no. That's great. Yes, a great time. That's awesome. Totally awesome.
All right, we just have a couple minutes left. Anybody have any further questions for Melanie? They're such a chatty bunch, aren't they?
Yeah, well, it is almost 10 o'clock. Like, hello, I'm still up, but hey. It's all good.
Well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Right, it's true.
That's right. That's right.
Awesome. Well, it's okay. I want to drop a little blurb about
Please.
a couple of things. Awesome. So I did mention I work with high achieving therapists and entrepreneurs. We have a platform called HypnoBiz in a Box, where we actually help with tech support and the sticky website and all the good things and all the automations and things that you need to have your business working for you 24/7. I'm just going to drop that in the chat, make it easy. And it's a passion that's absolutely passion of mine. As I said, I go back to my classes and see my fellow students who weren't in business yet, and I knew it was because they didn't have that know-how that I had. So I was like, I could do this. I can help them. I can link arms with them and drag them over the line until they're in business and seeing clients. So there is that. So our mission is to help hypnosis be better understood, more utilized by the general public, and to have hypnotists be properly compensated for the work that we do. And as you mentioned earlier, I'm also the president of the Hypnosis Education Association, which is that beautiful not-for-profit that is part of my mission. It's a beautiful, works perfectly together. And we do have a conference, the Hypnosis Business Summit, that's coming up at June 21st and 22nd. Some of our friends here, Karen, Michael, and Patricia, will be joining us on a panel. Excited for that. And we've got a lot of other really powerful things lined up. Hypnosis Education Association, well, it's one of those associations where you can come together and connect with other hypnotists and definitely get this connection that is so special. That's so special, even on Zoom. This is the way we do things these days, eh? Yeah.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to invite you to take a moment here at the end of our program to open up your microphones so that with one great cacophony we can wish Melanie well and let her know how much we appreciate her being with us tonight, and say goodnight, everyone.
Thank you for what you do, Melanie.
Right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Blessings.
Thanks, Melanie, for the quite nice
Good to
stay as to how your journey has been and what you have done to us,
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Good night, everybody.
Appreciate it.
See you
Good
next-
night. Thank you.
Good night.
Blessings.